another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks, episode 95, I believe. We took a week off, not intentional, but I was having car trouble, and then Tim was starting work and stuff, so we had a lot of conflicting time slots. So we just took a nice little break for a week.
How was your car, by the way? How does that whole thing? What was the resolution after you broke down on the highway? You were a traffic stop on Waze for a little bit. That was exciting.
I got famous for a bit. Someone marked me as a stopped car on the side of the road, so that was exciting.
How many people flipped you off as they drove past 20 minutes late to work?
Nobody. Oh, they were going home from work because it was.
Oh, I'm surprised more people didn't flip you off.
It was like 5 o'clock when I broke down, and then I was shocked that I literally was on 476, not a single cop or like any kind of highway patrol or anything. Nobody stopped because I'm like, there had to have been at least one cop to pass me in 3.5 hours. But
you were stuck on the road for 3.5 hours.
I was, and then it was
God.
so dark and there's so many 18-wheelers and semis that go on that road that I was like, maybe flashers aren't enough. I'll keep my headlights on. And then my battery died, and then I had no flashers so I was just like a sitting duck. I was like, this is how my life ends. I just get steamrolled by a truck because they can't.
So you
see
didn't
my
have
car.
your battery. You didn't have your battery. Your car's completely dead now. I'm guessing you had no heat. Did you just freeze your ass off the entire time?
I couldn't feel I thought I got frostbite on my toes. It was terrible.
You know what? You never gave me the full update. I know you made it home safe, which was good. But I didn't get the full. I didn't know you were out there for that long. What finally happened? Who was the good Samaritan that came and saved your life?
My dad came by, and we basically tried to get the car started. Well, got the battery started, and then we tried to get it home, but it kept. Basically, what happened was it was having a misfire in one of the cylinders, so it kept going into safe mode or limp mode, as they call it. So the check engine light would come on in the car. The car computer basically says, hey, you're fucking your shit up. We're going to limit you to only 20 miles an hour so you don't ruin your engine. So I literally could not imagine trying to drive 20 miles an hour on 476. It was terrifying. Yeah. And so I was like, there's no way we're getting home. And I didn't feel like calling a tow truck. And so I parked in some random diner parking lot in Plymouth Meeting, and then we drove back to my house. And then next morning I called a tow truck, and it wasn't terrible. It was $200 to have them tow it back to the house. And then yeah.
Do we pronounce it dead at the house? The funeral, RIP, gone forever?
No, it's fixed.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, just replaced a coil pack, and so far it's helped. So I got to work and back fine today, so fingers crossed.
That's good. Your car's a real selfish prick. It was like, no, you're not going to fuck me up, so I'm going to fuck you up instead. We're not going to go anywhere. We're going to stay on the highway in the freezing cold for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, that wasn't fun, and then that obviously it's not fun to pay for it, but I mean I didn't have to drive to work for 3 days, so that was kind of relief. But
there's a blessing in everything. Well, sticking to a rough week then for you, because you had that car nonsense, and then obviously the Eagles got embarrassed on the Sunday before. What were our things then? Because obviously we haven't gotten really to chat about it. I think my pain and suffering and anger over it is kind of cooled off since then, which is nice.
Yeah, I think overall, I mean, we kind of went in knowing it was a long shot for them to win. We thought they had a chance for sure. But we knew the Bucs were the better team, even with all their injuries. Tom Brady's still going to do Tom Brady stuff.
I would agree. I wasn't really upset that they lost. It was more of they looked like they should have never been there. I got to say, the Steelers and the Eagles combined put a bad showing out for this extra wild card seed, because both teams looked like they shouldn't have been in the playoffs, and it was pretty pathetic, which is what really hurt me. The same usual shit we have to deal with. Rager looking as terrible as he always does, actually to a new level now. We knew he couldn't play. We knew he wasn't a good receiver. Now he's just proving that he can't even play special teams.
Yep. Well, it's funny
when came in with his usual PI, which was nice. I haven't seen that in a little bit.
At least it was in the first drive, so we didn't have to worry about it on a game, crushing play. But
so there was no chance of a game crushing play. I think after the first drive, the game was over.
Yeah, the problem was that I don't think it had anything really to do with the rest, but I think they got away from their identity, which we knew that was what was going to happen if they were going to lose. Like they got away from the run mostly because they couldn't do anything. Like shout out, I mean, all things
Yeah.
considered, the Buccaneers defense came to play. Like they flying at the ball, like Devin White was all over the place. Um, even Sue was doing what he wanted. I thought they
Yeah.
just played really well. I mean, and they got away from the run, and then they didn't go after their best players until the second half when they were playing catch up. Should have been going to Goddard and Devontae Smith all day.
That's been a theme throughout the season is teams just focus on Smith and Goddard, and I put that more on Sirianni, I guess, because you got to find ways to just get your playmakers the ball. Like just find ways. Look, I mean, we just saw. I mean, the Niners, I think, are surprising everyone. They look good this past week. Yeah. They just get Deebo Samuel the ball in whatever possible way they can. I think the Bengals do the same thing with Ja'Marr Chase. Like every team knows these are your best players, but they find ways to just get them the ball. Where the Eagles struggle mightily doing that. And I mean, the other glaring issue I think we saw, which I think we all saw throughout the year, was when they got away from the run, when they were down by a lot and they had to become a passing team. You saw the offense struggle a lot. And, I'll put a lot of that on, not a lot, but I'll put a good amount of that on Hurts. But let's be honest, like there's wide receivers on this team that shouldn't be on this team anymore. This team's lacking a lot in the skill department. I think the offensive line plays much better in run blocking than they do pass blocking. So it's tough to put it all on. Yeah, it's tough to put it all on the quarterback, but Hurts definitely didn't have a great game either. He showed his limitations, I think.
Yeah, I'm still kind of I don't it's not a great comparison because I don't think they're super similar. But I look at like Josh Allen and how long it took him to get to the level he's at. He had a really bad rookie year. Then he got better his second year. Then his third year, he was MVP, in the MVP conversation. So I think Hurts, if you give him, this was essentially his rookie year. Give him the offseason to work with the coaches, work with his receivers. Find a coach to help, because he also has a really weird throwing motion I've noticed. I don't know if he does it if that's just how he releases the ball, but it like comes out really late. Like by the time he lets go of it, his hands like already fully extended from what I remember. He has a weird throwing mechanic. Whereas someone like Mahomes, who you like, oh, that guy played baseball, throwing everything on sidearm on the move.
Yeah.
But I think give Hurts, especially with this draft. And I was saying this to somebody else the other day. I was like, you can literally just take all your draft capital, spend it on, or draft players on defense, draft players at skill positions, or beef up the line. So you have money, sign some good players, bring in a free, one of the top receivers. So we got like Godwin, we got Robinson, even Mike Williams from the Chargers would be a nice.
There's plenty of options. Plenty. I think the veteran route is the way to go.
Surround Hurts with enough weapons that he doesn't have any excuses, and see what he can do.
I totally agree with you there. I think, listen, they made it to the playoffs. They were infinitely better this year than they were last year. Even though, let's be honest, they didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. So they were not a playoff team. I think we got maybe too ahead of ourselves and fooled into it because they played horrific teams at the end of the season. Like, let's be honest, if they didn't play the 6 embarrassing teams they played at the end of the season, there's no way they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they got exposed. They're not a playoff team. They're not a contender. We all knew that. But everyone, listen, the way to win is you got to get your quarterback on a rookie deal or on a small contract, build around them, and you have that window.
Yeah.
We were pretty much paying a franchise quarterback this year with all the dead money you had with Wentz. So you go in the offseason, you know who your quarterback is. I think Hurts has earned himself another year. Plus, I don't really see a better option out there. I mean, bringing in someone like Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold or Jimmy G doesn't excite me. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will have any interest coming here. Deshaun Watson still might go to jail. I just, I don't really see the better option than, so I'm perfectly fine with building this team around Hurts. Give him another go. Like you said, give him some real players. Yeah. Give Sirianni another year in the offense. You see what happens next year. Cause part of the perks are part of the downfalls of making the playoffs is your schedule is going to be much harder next year.
Your schedule's all right. It's not that bad. At least I saw the home and away opponents, and it's a very winnable schedule.
Yeah, it'll be a little tougher than what they've got with the last place schedule this year that they played.
Oh yeah.
You would think the division's probably going to get a little bit better. Who knows? I mean, the Giants are just shit show, and football team, who knows? Yeah, again, they don't have a quarterback either. But I mean, listen, you take Hurts, get rid of Rager, get rid of Darryl Barnett, get rid of some of these horrific picks, move on probably. I mean, they signed a lot of these veterans to 1-year deals. I think you let most of them go and you replace them hopefully with draft picks and young guys. And, maybe sign a couple different veterans that aren't just 1-year veteran guys. Maybe guys you can sign to long-term deals and let them grow in the system. And we'll see what happens. This offseason is going to be a big one.
Yeah, I mean, it could also be a big one for coaching changes because, you would think when you give up 31 points in a playoff game that you wouldn't be getting head coaching consideration. But, Jonathan Gannon is apparently interviewed with, who was it? The Texans,
half the league, Broncos, it seems like. The Vikings, and
I think the Bears were mentioned in that. And he's going back for a second interview with Houston. He must have good people in his corner. Like somebody's out there vouching for him.
Listen, this guy he must just get on a whiteboard, say a whole bunch. It's like when you have a math test and you have no idea how to get the answer. Like you just put a whole bunch of work. You just put work, numbers, symbols, all kinds of stuff. And you're like, maybe my teacher will think I was going on the right path. I get a point or two. You just throw a whole bunch of nonsense up there when you really have no idea what you're talking about. And hopefully someone, believes it. The stat that drives me nuts is they said the Eagles were first in the league in limiting the big plays. But you're like, do you realize that all he was doing was just not blitzing, had 8 guys 20 yards away and was just getting chewed up and down the field? Quarterbacks were throwing 80%. They didn't need big plays. They could just take the clock out of the game and just go up and down the field against us.
Now I will say, to kind of transition, I mean you didn't do so hot in your bracket, but
it's embarrassing. Embarrassment.
I was Nick too. We were both 6-0 or 6 for 6 in the wild card round. Then we come into the divisional round. I went 0-4. I got all my picks wrong. I was like, what the fuck is so also you said how the 7 seeds didn't leave a good example. Neither did the 1 seeds. They both got kicked right out and they both played like shit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Maybe it's an awkward rest now when they're not the only ones sitting, or now that they are the only ones sitting, it's they rested during week 18 and they rested the week after that, and then they played and all these other teams are fired up. But
listen, I'm like Aaron Rodgers. I just dominated you in the picks all season long. Just completely was just putting on a clinic, looking like a genius out there. Yeah. MVP quality, just never wrong.
Sure.
Mopping the floor with you. I had it wrapped up by week 14. And then just like Aaron Rodgers, I fall completely on my face in the playoffs. I did it last year too. It's becoming a consistent thing now. And showed that I had no idea what I was actually doing, that my regular season stats meant nothing because I couldn't follow it up. At this point, me and Aaron Rodgers are basically just regular season stat stuffers. We put up great numbers in the regular season and then it gets to the playoffs and we don't know what we're doing. You could call the Packers team loss if you want, but there's not many elite quarterbacks, I think, that can't put up, 13 points they lost by, they
10.
Gave up?
They put up 10 points.
10. Yeah. They're a quarterback of a Pro Bowl caliber, I would say above good quarterback should be able to put up 13 points in any single game.
Yeah.
MVP quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, that everyone praises and loves. Every year we hear, oh, he's so great, he's the GOAT, he's MVP, blah, blah, blah. This is the year, he's awesome. The dude, I don't care who it is. I don't care what's going on offense. He should be able to put up more 13 points himself.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were both riding the Aaron Rodgers farewell to Green Bay Super Bowl train, and boy, did that come to a screeching halt. They looked. Aaron Jones was their entire offense. He had 170 total yards or something like that. And Devontae barely touched the ball, I feel like, and I don't know. But before we get more into that game, we'll start in order.
Okay.
So first of all, we had arguably, and it's weird because sometimes when people hype things up. Like you're like, it wasn't as good as you're saying. It was like, no, this is as advertised. It was one of the best weekends of football I've seen in a while. Like not even just because it was players. Like it was just super competitive down to the wire. All games were last minute wins. 3 of them were last minute field goals, and 1 was in overtime. So
yeah, I did great games all in all. It was, and especially because you usually, I mean, in the divisional round, it's a little closer than the wild card, but you usually still have like the 1 seed coming off a bye that just crushes whoever makes it out. And both 1 seeds lost.
Nuts. Yeah, so started out on Saturday afternoon game was the Bengals at the Titans, and Tannehill looked terrible.
Tannehill did look terrible.
15 of 24, 220 yards, 3 interceptions.
Yeah, that was the big part of that. Well, I think even more importantly, I think everyone got gassed up with the Titans because they're like, yo, Derrick Henry's coming back. This team's ready. Derrick Henry did not look like Derrick Henry.
No, he was not.
Mere mortal. 3 yards per carry. I mean, he had 20 rushes for 62 yards. That's absurd. They got more yards out of Devontae Foreman on 4 carries than they did with Derrick Henry.
4 carries for 66, yeah. I mean, AJ Brown had a nice game, but it was all, I mean, Joe Burrow, man.
He had a hell of a catch, man. The one-handed touchdown catch for AJ Brown was amazing.
Yeah. There were a lot of good plays made this weekend, but I'm excited. Like, if there's a team right now that I would root for, it'd probably be the Bengals. Like, I'd love to see them win a Super Bowl. Like, why not?
Yeah, the Bengals are a weird team. Like, Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times. I feel like he was under siege all night. But give him a lot of credit, man. Mixon, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase made plays. They got the ball and they made plays. I felt like they made the most when the plays were made. Like when you get sacked 9 times, that's a lot of going backwards. That's a lot of drives stopping and stalling. They would just made big play after big play and helped their quarterback out a lot.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of liked. This game, I think, was better than the 49ers-Packers game, but this one was very at the fourth quarter was so back and forth with defense making huge stops or like you said, huge sacks. And I mean, they sort of Burrow was the first quarterback since Donald McNabb in 2003. I think it was against the Packers to win a game after getting sacked 8 times or more in the playoffs.
It's absurd
in a single game. Yeah. So
that's why I feel like every play was either like a 20-yard gain or a sack. There was really no mix and match. Yeah, it's big. But you know what? Their defense showed up too. They made plays. The ball bounced.
They're scrappy.
They got every tip or overthrow. Yeah, I mean, they got an interception on the first play of the game. I think that set the tone. And defense played well after that.
Yeah, they're playing really well. They got Joe Burr, as they call him. So I like it.
I liked it before.
You know what? I wasn't a huge fan of him because I'm not a huge LSU guy, but I'm jumping on. I mean, I love Joe Mixon. Jamar Chase is a beast, but I'm getting on the Joe Burrow wagon. I like what he's doing.
Joe Burrow is the easiest guy to root for. I don't care if you're LSU or not. What took you so long to get on this bandwagon? The guy's so cool.
Root for the Home Alone guy,
Oh, that I think that makes him cooler, to be honest with you.
Anyways, next game, we had the San Francisco 49ers beat the Green Bay Packers 13-10 in a hideous stat line game. It was all defense. Jimmy Garoppolo was 11 for 19 for 131 yards and 1 interception. Didn't throw a touchdown.
He was the winning quarterback.
The entire
winning quarterback right there.
49ers team was basically Debo. George Kittle made a couple of good grabs. They used a lot of Elijah Mitchell, but he didn't really do. I mean, he had a lot of carries, but didn't have a ton of yards. Like I said, Aaron Jones, he had 41 rush yards and 130 receiving yards. Rodgers didn't throw a touchdown, which is, baffling.
He looked terrible. He did not look good. He looked awful night. He got sacked 5 times. They were coming after him. He looked uncomfortable. I mean, let's put it fairly. He didn't show up. He didn't show up in that game.
Oh, not at all.
That's, I mean, listen, any quarterback of his level or in that area should be able to win a playoff game when their defense only gives up 13 points. It's simple as that.
100%.
Simple as that. It's just he single-handedly should be able to score more than 13 points. I don't care what's going on the offense. Everyone else was out there. They were healthy. You can't say anything bad about the defense. I mean, only let the Niners score 13 points. I put this solely on Aaron Rodgers.
Now, not that, I mean, I respect Aaron Rodgers, but as the time's gone on, I respect his game. Not really the man so much. I mean, he's a little He's a little out there now. But the fact that their special teams gave up,
god awful.
They gave up they let the Niners block a field goal. Then in the fourth quarter, they let a punt block go for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then on the last play, your season on the line, San Francisco lines up to kick a field goal. You have 10 men on the field instead of 11.
Yeah.
I can't believe their special teams coach still has a job right now.
I
heard they've been terrible all year, so this isn't even surprising to them. But to just lay an absolute egg, as a whole team, like besides the defense, the entire team laid an egg. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, the defense should have. The special teams, it's so putrid. I can't remember a game where the special teams was that detrimental to a team.
No.
Like, I still give Aaron Rodgers a lot of heat because I think a player of his caliber should be able to win a game like that when it's close and low scoring like that. But the special teams just brutal. Those plays cost him the game.
Yeah, there are plenty of great jokes that came out of the game, though. Of course, someone said the Mexican word of the day is cheesehead. They asked my wife if the Packers are going to the Super Bowl, and she said no. That's a good one. Not really a joke. It's just a pretty surprising stat. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, you got 30 plus years between them, and only accounted for 2 Super Bowl wins, and they're probably 2 of the top 20 quarterbacks of all time. It's pretty wild.
I mean, more importantly, Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, and they haven't even really been close since. His ineptitude in the playoffs is something that
as
can't
a lot
be
of people
ignored.
were saying, he's immunized from winning the important games. He's 0-4 against the 49ers in the playoffs. Like, how is that possible? Actually, my favorite stat that I saw, because I don't, you know me, I'm not even the biggest Brady fan. A ton of respect for Brady, but I think it's Aaron Rodgers. I think he's 11-10 in his career in the playoffs, which is also terrible for him.
Yeah.
Brady is 35-10, but Brady has more wins against NFC teams than Aaron Rodgers. And Brady played in the AFC for 20 years. So he was only winning games in the Super Bowl. Like, it's nuts.
Well, I mean, if you count the 6 Super Bowl wins he has against NFC teams with the Patriots, that's more than, half, or it's right about more than 50% of what Aaron Rodgers has.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
they just, at this point, he just reminds me of the Braves, who are really good in the regular season before they won the World Series this year. But like teams like that were really good in the regular season. The Braves were always example. Atlanta Hawks were another example. Like teams that just were really good in the regular season and they just couldn't do anything in the playoffs, and pretty much were just constant disappointment. Yeah, and that's him as the player. It just seems at this point he's just MVP, regular season stat stuffer, and just falls apart in the playoffs. It just plays itself out every single year.
Well, on the topic of Sir Brady, so we had the Rams and the Buccaneers on Sunday. Rams came out on top 30-27 on a game-winning field goal. Rams are pretty much in control the whole time. And then, of course,
Tom Brady.
It's 27-3, and there was some people were like starting to say, "Oh, I guess it could be over." Like, is older Brady is like, no. I've bet against Brady way too many times. I've learned not to even think about him not being able to come back. Plus, he's had like a quarter and a half. Yeah. Now 27-3. Lo and behold, Tom Brady does it again. I mean, the Rams helped them. They fumbled on like every drive.
Tom Brady was pretty impressive, but the Rams just killed themselves.
Well, Tom Brady, I think it was Von Miller had a strip sack, and then they recovered. And then Matt Stafford, I don't know if it was his fault or the center's fault, but they snapped the ball. It went flying over his head. Buccaneers recovered, got the ball right back. They went down and scored. And then next thing you know, it's 27-27. You're like, because Cam Akers fumbled on that.
Cam Akers, 2 fumbles. Yeah. That is, I mean, listen, I like the story.
They were trying to lose.
I like the story of Cam Akers. He came back from the injury and everything, but man, they are really heavily involving him quickly in this scheme.
Yeah, I was surprised.
I mean, everyone was like, "Oh, good." Yeah, guy fumbled twice. I don't know. I just figured you want to ease him in. I haven't seen Sony Michel in the playoffs.
Now, I watched this game, and I just looked at the stats, and I had no idea that Cooper Kupp had 183 receiving yards. I knew he went over 100, but I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know he was close to like 200.
He had like 60 or 80 on the final two drives or two plays. That in itself was inexcusable. I don't know what Antonio Winfield was doing. Like, dude, if there's one guy you're not going to let just run right past your face for the deep ball, maybe make it Cooper Kupp. I don't know. Maybe clearly the best player on their team. I don't know. That's just me.
It was a weird game for the Bucs. I mean, besides the fact they were playing catch up. I mean, Brady threw 54 passes, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not a weird game for him. They didn't really Fournette only had 13 touches. They didn't really get the ball to him. It was like a slow going game, and then it started to pick up. But I mean, it's going to be weird. There's no arguably Rodgers and Brady were the two MVP runners, besides maybe Jonathan Taylor.
Rodgers is always irrelevant in the playoffs. We're used to not seeing Rodgers in it. It's just different because Brady's not there.
It is weird that Brady's not going to be there, but. Rams move on.
Rodgers not being it is the usual.
I will say, so that was what I was saying earlier. I was like, I am rooting for the Bengals, and I don't really want to root for the Rams, but I do want Matt Stafford. Like, I want to see him win a Super Bowl because I really liked watching him in his career, especially when he was with the Lions, with Megatron. So, but we'll see. I think it'll be
definitely my favorite team right now who I'm pulling for is the Bengals. But
yeah,
I'm telling you, man, that Rams performance, somebody said it took the Buccaneers a little bit to get going. They were all over Brady. The pressure was getting to him. And you know what? That trade for Von Miller.
Monster.
Dude, Von Miller was making plays. That trade for Von Miller looked really good in that game.
And he earned his money. Beckham's been doing well too for them. So those midseason acquisitions are actually starting to gel really well for them and making big plays. So
I just say that's what their defense I'm worried about. I mean, their offense was always putting up points. I mean, Kupp had a ridiculous season. Matthew Stafford was slinging it all over. Odell's obviously been great since he's been there. The defense is what I think is going to carry them. I think they'll go to the Super Bowl. And I mean, with the Floyd, Donald, and Von Miller combination, like if Brady can't be, comfortable, no one will be.
Yeah. And then moving on.
Special shout out though. Shout out to my boy that I constantly support against you. Did you like the Mike Evans blowing right past Jalen Ramsey? Even listen, if they won that game, I would have made you eat that so much, but they ended up holding on. But my boy Mike Evans put the wheels on and just torched Jalen Ramsey in a play that they absolutely needed.
Yeah. But I got another boy for you of yours.
Tell me.
So moving on to our final game of the weekend, one of the greatest games I've seen in quite a few years. We had the Bills and the Chiefs, and they went into overtime, and the Chiefs pulled it out. Had to have been the most insane, final 2.5 minutes of a game I've ever witnessed, because the Bills were down, scored with 2 minutes left. Then the Chiefs got the ball, drove down the field, took the lead on a Tyreek Hill 60-yard play. Take the lead a minute and a half. Bills get the ball, go down the field, score a touchdown, take the lead, up by 3, with 13 seconds left. 13. Yeah. How many people can do anything with 13 seconds? Chiefs get the ball back. Patrick Mahomes says 3 timeouts. No problem. Was it two plays, 4 seconds each to get down in field goal position, and then they go in overtime. And then this is the problem, though. I think this game should set a good example for why overtime rules need to be changed, because the Bills didn't even get a chance to play in overtime. Now, granted, you get 60 minutes to play the game. Your defense needs to come to play. That's a fact, but the defense will always be at a disadvantage against the offense. That's just how it is. The defense has to guess what they're doing. The offense is in control. But to play as well as the Bills did, especially Josh Allen, and to lose on a coin toss, essentially, you don't get a chance to try. It's just dumb. I love the way college does it, where they start the 25-yard line, and then every team they back and forth. I mean, that game might have gone on forever, but
that's what I mean, it's too physical a game, I think, to do it that way. Listen, I agree with everyone else. I would have loved to have seen Josh Allen get a chance in that game. So that's something else. But let's be honest, that game is a rare like moment. They changed the overtime rules from what they were originally, where I thought it was stupid that a field goal could win for you. Yeah. At least, let's be honest, Mahomes went and drove the whole field and scored a touchdown. I mean, what do you want to do? Just don't let them score a touchdown. If he didn't score a touchdown, you would have won, but their defense couldn't stop them. And if it wasn't Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, like Josh Allen would have done the same exact thing if they got the ball. It's just two quarterbacks absolutely slinging it. At that point, what are you going to do? Just keep going and on and on. Like,
I was going to say, speaking of can't stop them, we had a UCF alum. There's a Gabriel Davis, 8 catches, 201 yards, and 4 touchdowns, an NFL record. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it makes me feel proud.
I love what are you, Golden Knights, right?
Correct. Don't disrespect us by acting like you don't know.
The school I chose not to go to.
I was just saying, you see the highlights every year when we smack Temple in basketball and football, and you're going to tell me you don't know what our mascot is. I have to say, is that the greatest game in a losing effort ever? Like, can you find me a better stat line in a losing effort than what Gabriel Davis put up?
I just remember every time someone called a touchdown, I was watching with my friend. I was like, was that Gabriel again? There's no way that was Gabriel Davis again. And then you see the 13, you're like, who the hell is what? Like, cause I knew he had a nice season. Like, he was from the highlights I saw, like, he was playing well. But like,
he's great.
201 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, I think that's a lot to do with the fact that Stephon Diggs did nothing. 3 catches for 7 yards.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, they clearly made it a priority to take Diggs out. I also think it helped that Tyrann Mathieu got hurt in the middle of the game. Because listen, I'm
how many times did he go down the middle? Oh, he was catching balls in the middle of the field where Tyrann Mathieu would be.
I'm the biggest supporter of Gabriel Davis there is, but I'll be honest with you, I think every one of those touchdowns he was wide open for.
Oh, he was, yeah. And the last one, he just broke the guy's ankles on a very simple
that was nice.
And I was like,
wow. But you know what? That was some UCF when UCF hate crime, because that was Mike Hughes' ankles he was breaking. Yeah, listen, you hate to see it do it to one of the other knowledge. Listen, I always know. I know where all the UCF guys are in the league. But hey, I got to be honest with you, because the game was late. It was like 3:30 in the morning when we got into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I watched the whole game, but I was so tired. I saw Mahomes score. I dozed off a little bit, woke myself up because I was like so into the game and everything. And I saw they were starting overtime. I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, I was like, there was last I saw was Mahomes scored. There was 1 minute left. I was like, but their score, like the Bills would have had to score, and then somehow I was like doing the math. I was like, how the fuck did that even happen? There was no way the Bills could tie them. And I go, and then I hear them talking about 13 seconds. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I can't believe they actually did that.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean McDermott deserves a lot of criticism. First, I don't know why you don't squib or keeping it out of the end zone.
That was stupid. Yeah, I didn't understand that. That's what I was saying. I was like, oh, this is 13 seconds. They can squib it, kill, maybe 5-6 seconds off the clock if they don't get out of bounds fast enough.
You mean squib it?
No, let's just give Pat Mahomes 3 timeouts in 13 seconds, because that's, I mean, any other average quarterback wouldn't be able to do much with that, but this is Pat Mahomes we're talking about. So
yeah, I mean, plus, like, they were playing so far back. It was like, are you preventing the touchdown instead of worrying about the field goal? Like, do you actually realize what they need in this moment?
Yeah.
He looked like he was playing a Jonathan Gannon defense. Great. It keeps away the big plays and the touchdowns, but then, they just march down the field easily.
Yeah. I think one thing that's going to be pretty obvious for the Bills going forward is their just lack of a running game. I mean, Josh Allen was your number one passer, obviously, because he's the quarterback. He was also the Bills' number one rusher with 11 carries, 68 yards, which is funny because Mahomes was also the Chiefs' leading rusher with 7 carries, 69 yards. So it was a QB show. They both balled out. I mean, Josh Allen put somebody in the dirt. And that was pretty entertaining. I mean, not good to see someone hurt because he was down for quite a few minutes, but I mean, he just ran him over. Like, he's a quarterback.
He's a big dude, though. He's a big dude.
6'5".
You just worry about, I mean, you're right. The rushing game, because let's face it, Josh Allen's been the leading rusher for the Bills, I think, for the last 3 seasons or 2 seasons or whatever.
Yeah, Singleton and Moss aren't going to cut it.
I mean, that style of play isn't going to last. He can't be, because he's not like Lamar Jackson. Like, he just runs people over. Like he doesn't really put much skill into it. He just gets physical. Yeah, like I think that someone asked him that. And he's like, no, you know what? I'm fine. I'm like 25 or whatever, so it's not that big a deal. I was like, yeah, it's a good point, but you still he takes a lot of contact.
I will say, as we are Eagles fans, it brought me great joy to see the stat that Pat Mahomes was able to lead his team down the field and kick a field goal in 13 seconds. And that was the same amount of time Dak Prescott took that run and couldn't spike it in time because they didn't know how to, handle a ball and give it to the official. Same amount of time, and it was one play for the Cowboys versus 3 plays for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Nuts.
I mean, the 13 seconds was incredible. I mean, just decisive, didn't waste any time, was quick with it,
which is crazy.
Like it was also like you see people in those moments who will check down just to get the ball to their hand because they're in rush or whatever. Like he knew exactly what he needed to do and just slinged it. Granted, the defense made no sense in those situations that they were open, but made the right play in the moment and executed it perfectly.
And I mean, not getting into this segment, so to speak, but a little bit of a too much whiz we had going on. I heard that Andy Reid, when Mahomes got the ball with 13 seconds, said to him, he said something along the lines of, "When times are grim, be the Grim Reaper." Now, is that a cool quote or is that too much whiz? Is that cheesy? What do you think? It's a little. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
It's a little cheesy.
I mean, I guess it's cool in the moment and it worked out, but I'm not really buying into it. Much cooler quote though. Evan McPherson, the rookie kicker, telling Joe Burrow, "We're going to the AFC Championship game before we kick the ball." That's just cool.
So ballsy. Imagine he misses though, and then you're like, "All right, you pack your bags."
No. As a rookie, that's having beach balls in between your legs and going out and doing it. I mean, granted, that kid's been good all year. Like, it gives everyone second pause. Maybe you should draft a kicker instead of just using these recycled veterans that just are trash.
Yeah, it's. I don't even remember. Maybe because I never paid attention when I was younger, but I never realized how many kickers just swap teams at the end of their career.
Oh yeah, they're like complete sluts. They just make it around the league. There is no respect. They just bounce around the league. In kicker world, you get to a certain point where you're a veteran, where you've got at least enough highlights or moments that you can just get an opportunity at every given moment. Because you think about some kickers like won't even last a season, and then they just call these veterans. They're just lying around. They're like, oh yeah, we'll give you a chance. Why not? You might get hot.
That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said about kickers. They're hookers.
They're just sluts. That's what they are. They just get around. They're just whenever you're in need. Like it's like you think, my kicker just went out there, sucks. Like my girlfriend, I'm breaking up with her. We're moving on. I need someone quick and fast. Let me hit up the slut. Let me hit up who's a good example? Matt Prater's been around for a little bit. Like Chris Boswell, I think, slut. Randy Bullock's kind of a slut in that area. I think who other are some slutty kickers? There's what's that? It's Kyer Santos. I think he's a name.
Yeah,
he's pretty slutty. He's been around.
Yeah.
You get the drift though. There are those slutty kickers.
Slutty kickers. Yeah.
Yeah, they just they'll hop on whatever opportunity they can get.
All right. But yeah, a phenomenal weekend of football. Sad to see I was really pulling for the Bills. I wanted to see McDermott make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm still happy for the Chiefs. I'm still a big Andy Reid supporter. I like Mahomes.
Crushing loss though. Crushing loss.
Yeah, it's. You can see him on he looked like he was gonna, break down. He just was defeated, on the field, still looking around with his helmet on. And
dude played incredible.
Because I think they lost. They got eliminated by the Chiefs last year in the division round, didn't they? Or was it the championship?
Yeah. Champion.
Oh, I think it was a championship because there was confetti on the field.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, whatever. But moving on. So, what are you thinking for this week? What do we? Who's going to the Super Bowl?
Well, considering my Super Bowl was the Bills versus the Packers, and that is completely trashed now. I mean, not as bad as you having the Cowboys in the championship game.
True, that didn't age well.
So we have in the AFC Sunday 3 p.m. on CBS. Check your local listings. Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. And Who was it? I think it was Nick that said it's hard to beat the same team twice. And the Bengals just destroyed the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. It's going to be hard. They're going to play a much better offense. Defensively, Chiefs are probably pretty comparable to the Titans. But yeah. I would really like to pick the Bengals, but I think they're a year too early. I think the magic dies, so I'll have to go with the Chiefs.
I agree with you. Well, I would like to see the Bengals go on. I like the team. I like the makeup, but my main issue is if you watch that game against the Titans, you can't ignore the fact that Joe Burrow was kind of running for his life. Like he got sacked 9 times. The offensive line didn't play well.
If he got sacked 9 times against the Titans, Rams.
I mean, I think
him and Von Miller are going to become good friends.
Yeah, I think Chris Jones, Melvin Ingram, and Frank Clark are going to be all over him.
Oh yeah, I don't know why I was thinking of the Rams. I'm stupid.
It's all right, I was letting it go. But then the other part of that, there was 2 parts. It was the offensive line looked terrible. The other part is they got 3 interceptions off Ryan Tannehill, which I don't care how aggressive your defense and how ball hungry they are. You're not going to get 3 interceptions from Patrick Mahomes. It's just not going to happen. So I'd like to pick the Bengals, but the Chiefs look locked in right now.
Yeah.
And I just think that they're the better team.
Yeah, I agree. And then our NFC matchup, I don't think anyone would have predicted this, but going, before the season started, not that anyone would have predicted the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, but
it's very true.
The 6th seed San Francisco 49ers at the 4 seed Los Angeles Rams. And it was also the 4 Bengals versus the 2 Chiefs, which is I can't remember the last time there was no 1 seed in the championship game, like on either end. Usually they make it because they're that good of a team. But anyways, so Niners at the Rams, Sunday, 6:30 p.m. on Fox. I mean, the fact that Jimmy G had 100 and change against the the Packers defense and really did nothing. They just got lucky that their special teams came to play and that Rodgers laid the duck. I mean, the Niners have a really good defense, but their offense is abysmal when Jimmy G is out of sync. So, and the Rams are they're kicking on all cylinders. Playoff mode Stafford is a thing now, and he looks really good.
He does.
And then Aaron Donald him and Von Miller were just cooking. So I'm going to go with the Rams. Chiefs Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like I said, that defense looks locked in. Von Miller trade looks like it's clicking right now.
Yeah, it was going to take time, but
yeah, him and Leonard Floyd. I mean, we know what Aaron Donald was, but him and Leonard Floyd are balling. I mean, they really gave Tom Brady fits all game. The offense, like you said, has got too much firepower not to put up 21 points at least, 24 points at least every game. And the Niners, I forget what they put up against the Cowboys. I don't think it was very much, but it was 2017, whatever it was. So they put up 23 points, and then they put up 13 this game. They're not really blowing teams out. And for the Rams, I think they're going to have to put up more points than that. And I think the Rams are going to be the best defense they've faced in the playoffs so far too. So I think we're going to get a rematch of that Monday Night Football game that we want to see. Different quarterback, but I think it's going to be a hell of a matchup between the Rams and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And this is so both teams played each other, Bengals and Chiefs, in the regular season, and then the Niners and the Rams, obviously same division. The last game they played, they went to overtime. The Niners won, which helped them get into the playoffs. So it would be fitting for the Rams to then say, time to send you home. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I think Chiefs and Rams is a really good Super Bowl. Kind of wild that the Rams are going to go back to the Super Bowl, 2 years later with a different quarterback. Testament to the coaching staff and players that they
we're not there yet. I'm not going to underestimate the Niners. They surprised me that they're there, but listen, they're still a division rival for the Rams. They're a team that knows how to beat the Rams.
I don't think either of these games are going to be blowouts. They'll be close, but yeah, and then ultimately I think, if we're picking Super Bowl, that's tough. I can't really see Mahomes losing back-to-back Super Bowls, but I don't know how many times Stafford's going to get to be in the Super Bowl. So I probably would lean against. I probably would take the Chiefs, though. Honestly, Yeah, I'd have to see how they play, how both teams play this week.
See, this is the problem. We've seen what the Chiefs, when they're hitting on all cylinders, looks like. They win Super Bowls. They go to Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And they look easily the best I've seen them all year.
Yeah.
And they look like they're just in sync right now, the whole team. I mean, they won a classic against one of the best teams in football. Mm-hmm. And I just think they're gonna be tough to stop. We'll see. I mean, it'll be a good matchup. We'll see how these championship games go. Who knows if either of those teams even make it.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what Mahomes, because remember in the last Super Bowl, the Buccaneers won that game because their defensive line just got after Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And you know what? Donald, Floyd, and Miller look like they could do that to him. So that could be a game changer as well.
We will see.
Yeah. So, but hopefully this week is just as good as last week. That's all I ask for.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's playoff football. It's hard to beat that. So, yeah, everyone look forward to that. Don't be me and lose all your bets. Make smart picks and enjoy the weekend.
To another week.
All right. Peace out.
Peace.